right, bro. You're getting into it. You're getting into the rhythm of things. You're starting to learn. You're finally, taking action. You're moving forward. You know, you're watched a couple of episodes on the charts, and hopefully you retain the information that you gathered, and hopefully I was able to explain it in a good enough way. But you know, you watch these videos, and hopefully you are starting to realize, this is going to be a longer process than what you thought, bro. Because the name of the game is, bro, you're going to have overconfidence. You're going to have, you know, maybe some beginner's luck when you're starting out. Maybe you're going to be able to, figure this shit out a little faster than other people, or be able to, get ahead in some other areas faster than another person might have. And then maybe you get some overconfidence, and maybe some form of like dopamine hits your head where you're like, I'm doing all right. I'm moving forward. But the name of this game is to, you know, like every person says it, bro. Like 98% of these people in trading will always quit or lose money. And that's just the statistic, bro. It was I don't know who released it. I don't know who said it first, but you know, I feel like this is very true. You can see probably with the amount of people that ain't here no more, or literally couldn't even make it past the first video, that saw the motivation, I'm gonna do this shit, you know didn't stick it through. But you're different, bro. You might be getting it through your head that you're gonna want to be able to do this. This is gonna be able to be something that you can accomplish. This is something that you can you know strive for and take better action to be able to achieve. The name of this game is going to be numbers and hoops that you can put into the basket, bro. The amount of times that you can, you know, take a trade, journal it, make sure you reflect on it. Maybe you're not even knowing what you're doing wrong in the first place. I was there, bro. I was there at that point. You don't even know what you're doing wrong to be able to reflect on yourself and be able to, push yourself forwards. And it's hard, bro. It's really hard. If you don't have a mentor or somebody else that's, in your corner constantly, then it's pretty hard. But I was able to do it. And I want you to know that, it is possible just off of, pure content that you consume on YouTube. But, bro, trust me when I say this, you have to be so, so obsessed. This has to be something that you go, I am destined for this. I'm going to be so delusional in the fact that, this is exactly what I want to do. This is so much like I'm obsessed with this shit. You're probably sitting there, watching like hours and hours of content. You know, that's exactly how I started out too. I sat there, I sat my ass down, and I said, I'm gonna watch hours and hours and hours and hours of this because I can't get enough of this. I want to learn this. This looks so interesting to me. This looks like something that I could see myself doing for the rest of my life and being happy about. And bro, it really can be that point. There's going to be a lot of times in this journey, and I'm telling you, where you feel lost, you feel like you don't know what you're doing, you know, you feel like things are not going as fast as possible, or you feel like you're even just taking steps backwards in the wrong direction. But it's almost like an entrepreneur's journey. If you've ever like watched or heard or seen anybody else's success story, where you look and you see failure leads to, if you the more you fail, the more you fail, the more you fail, the more you fail, the more you learn. That's basically all it is. There's going to be countless amounts of lessons that will be inside of failures. And the thing is, if you can take those failures and push them into something that is a growing opportunity, and being able to take a step back for a moment and saying, instead of why did this happen to me, why am I so unlucky, why did this unfortunate thing happen to me, you can say, why did this lesson happen to me? What was this meant to teach me in the moment? Was it meant to teach you that I was being too greedy? I was being too fearful in this position. I was, being too overconfident in myself. And, it's not a bad thing to be confident in yourself, but to the point where you can just say, fuck it, I'm gonna fire on this one because I'm the best person alive, and I'm the best person in this shit. I'm Michael Burry. I'm shorting this bitch to the floor, bro. Yeah, you're not. You're not like that. You're not like him, bro. It's gonna take a lot of time before you can, realize actually and reflect upon yourself and, have the knowledge of the skill to be able to, say, what am I doing wrong? At first, in basketball, when you're shooting a hoop, you might see yourself and you might go, why the fuck do I keep missing? Why the fuck does it keep going off to the left? Why the fuck does it do this? Until you put up enough shots and enough reps, you can then say, maybe I'm moving my hands too weirdly when I'm trying to shoot the ball. Maybe my jumper's off. You know, these things that when you know what a good shot looks like, you can then assess yourself and be like, oh, that was what was wrong with this. Oh, that was what was wrong with what I was doing here. And, it's a lot of motivation talk out there where it's like, you know, you, you'll be able to do it, you'll be able to do it, but it's like, really, bro, you need to learn to lock in on yourself and lock in on, you know, really journaling yourself and really making sure that you're taking action to know what you're doing inside of your own journey, or else you're going to feel lost. And I'm telling you this right now. If you do not journal, if you do not know where your mistakes are, you will not know where to grow and where to pivot from the point that you're at. And it's going to be very hard for you to, you know, take that next step that leads you to success, that leads you to a more fortunate result that you want. The name of the game is to literally never give up, never, doubt yourself, even when you're making mistakes and even when you're failing, or even when you're losing money, or even when things are not going your way, because things will normally always turn around if you have that belief in yourself, if you have that belief that failures are lessons, if you have that belief that you know you can take a loss and learn from it, bro. And this is one really tough skill in the world where you could be doing every single thing right. You probably won't be for the first times that you're doing this. You probably won't be. Let's be real. But you could be doing every single thing in the book right, but there is a probability to this game, and that's all that it is. It's numbers, and you know that you have a set probability of hopefully dubbing out a trade, but you could do every single thing right and still be like still get stopped out, still lose money, still be bad on the day for P&L. That's just how it is, bro. You might be making mistakes and mistakes and mistakes and mistakes, and then because you're not journaling or because you don't know where you're at, you could make a perfect play. You could overanalyze it to shit, and you could say, you could definitely find something that was wrong, but it's going to be more often than not, when you get really good at this, that it was just a probability error, and that you're psyching yourself out in the point where you know you can say, I executed on my rules. That's what you need to be doing. You need to look at this game and say, how am I going to execute without emotion driving me? That is the main thing that kills every single person in this. It's going to be your emotion driving you into what you're doing. You need to learn very quickly to not get attached to any sort of dollar form, any amount that is in this game, because it's just going to fuck you over. You need to get attached to loving the process, and we're going to go into the process of making a set of rules for yourself to be able to execute on trade and say, that way, if you execute perfectly like a robot on this system, then you can say, I'm okay. I accepted the loss. I accepted that it was a part of my probability of me losing, and I can say, this was not a mess up directly on myself, but it was a direct mess up on just the stats and the statistics that can go into this. And I've proven myself through backtesting. I've proven myself with confidence in myself, and I can say, I'm confident, but I'm not overconfident that I will be able to smash out and be able to you know be able to come back from that, basically. But yeah, if you can execute in this game with zero emotion, with zero fear and greed and every other emotion that comes along with tangible money and money that you have in your pocket, then you can definitely be able to get a good foothold within within trading and be able to, make this a full-time thing. We will go into how to set up rules, how to set up everything else, but I want to make sure that you guys know the strategy first and know everything before that. So that will be what the next couple of videos are. The next video will be showing you guys trends inside of the market and showing you guys how to identify them, how to identify when trends change, and what a breakup structure will look like inside of the market to show a trend change or a change of character or a change in state of delivery, CISD, whatever the fuck people want to call it online. It's called so many different things, but hopefully we can just minimize that down into something that you guys can comprehend, basically. So stick around for episode 5, bro. Hopefully you've got this through your head that executing without emotions, making sure that you're journaling, making sure that the name of the game is to put shots on net, and you can't be worried about how long or how fast or how little time it's going to take you, or how little time it took somebody else compared to yourself, because comparison is going to be the killer, and you just need to be looking at them in the mirror and saying, did I outperform this guy? Did I outperform this guy right here? Am I better than him when I was in this time period ago? Am I better than him than he was, a couple months ago? And that's what you really need to be looking at to gauge your success level in this. Okay. Peace. We'll see you in the next one.